Your official station to talk Giants. The Fan, 101.9 FM, and always live on the free Odyssey app. Download it today.
All right, Shaun Morash here on the Fan. Boy, I gotta be honest with you. When I took this shift, as I do for a lot of the Giant games, I follow the post-game show, give you a little extended post. It was the old, Shaun, can you work Thanksgiving? Going to be a little longer till 2 a.m. And at the time, this is pre the Lions game, I was so confident. I was really confident the Giants were going to beat the Cowboys. Of course, they lose to the Lions, the injuries start to mount, and you have a day like this, and now I am sitting here basically feeling like Mr. or Mrs. Buttersworth here. 1 million pounds of food and sugar in me, dealing with a loss to the Dallas Cowboys yet again. And it sucks. It sucks. But two guys I know will be fun to chop it up with. You can hear them on Talkin Giants. Talkin Giants versus the World. Anywhere podcasts are downloadable, part of the John Boy Media family. They both break it down, one from really a video perspective, one from a good stats perspective, better than almost anybody can, Giants-wise. You know, we love all our beat reporters or whatever, but these guys are great to follow. The names are Bobby Skinner and Justin Pennick. Happy Thanksgiving to both of you. Bobby first, Justin next. How are you guys?
I'm good. Actually, no, I'm not good because the Giants lost, and that sucks. Also, my freaking Thanksgiving started off not great because my Uncle Ray had a big fire in his trailer because his son, my cousin Ricky, left ravioli on the burner and fell asleep. And so, but it is what it is. Glad to be talking with you, Shaun.
Oh, but here's the thing, Bobby. If that's a joke, it went completely over my head, and I can never trust it with you. I can never, ever trust
No, it's not. It's just.
If that really happened with the ravioli, then I apologize. But
my brother's getting married Saturday, though, so I can, let's move on to the next game.
All right, what's up, Justin? How are you, man?
Shaun, it's great to be here. Thank you for having us on. Similar to a lot of Giants losses that we've had over the last few years, we lost to a team that's kind of just flat out better than us. Yeah. We were excited for a half, and then we found out why the other team was better than us in the second half.
Yeah, okay, so let's just get right into this, okay? Obviously, we're all not dummies here. We understand the injuries. We understand, the uphill battle the Giants were going to be with. We understand, obviously, they were dealing with the flu, as the Cowboys started to deal with as well. But ultimately, the Giants end up giving you a good effort in the first half. 13 points, though, is all they have to show for it. Clearly, questions with the officiating, including the call on Phillips on the Hodgins touchdown as well. But where do you guys stand? The hot button question with both of our, both of our listeners, that'd be sad tonight. All of our listeners tonight has been basically Jones and Barkley. A, do we think Barkley's hurt? B, are you more anti-Jones than you had been based on the fact that still 13 points is all this team could get off those two turnovers and everything that had gone right in the first half?
With DJ, I'll keep it quick. I don't think this is the game to really bash DJ. Now, you can all say, what did he do to get them involved? Well, he did have the touchdown, or not the touchdown, with the deep pass with Slayton. Did some good stuff to extend the play, Chris Myers getting 25-yard catches to extend some plays. And he definitely had bad moments. That 4th and 1, I put that more on Daniel Jones than I do Saquon Barkley. But I don't think this is the game to kill him. I mean, the Cowboys have the number one pass defense. They had the most sacks through 10 games. I think more than any team ever, or second most out of any team ever. I saw some stat like that this week. So with their offensive line issues, receiver issues, and then no run game, I don't think this is the game to kill DJ. I'm not happy with them. But right. I am worried about Saquon. We've played two bad rushing defenses in a row with the Lions and the Cowboys, and he's averaged, for the last 2 games, barely over 2 yards per carry. And it's not just looking at the stats, because you could say the O-line. He does not – he's not running through guys like he was at the start of the season.
A lot of pitter-pattering. He's dancing again.
But even that, it's at least you could get some explosive plays out of him. You're not getting that. The last 2 weeks, the longest run he's had is 10. The second longest is 4. So he's just not getting, it'd be one thing if okay, he's not super efficient, but he's creating explosive plays and adding points. Right now, he's not doing that at all.
Yeah, Justin, where do you stand on these guys?
Yeah, and I mean, if he had if it is a shoulder injury, like a lot of people are speculating after that Green Bay game, you wouldn't think that would really impact the quickness and the acceleration and the speed of Saquon Barkley.
Well, yeah, and Justin, I'll let you finish in a second, but everybody keeps pointing to this, and I hear that. He also came out off the bye and was pretty damn explosive versus the Houston Texans, and I know the Texans stink. But, I mean, what, he got re-injured in that game and now it's back to that? So I'm not buying the shoulder as the reason for the lack of explosiveness. I'm with you.
But, I mean, Gary Brightwell looks like a faster and quicker running back today. And, I mean, Gary Brightwell is not a very good running back. I know he's kind of like, the third-string running back I feel like is always like a fan favorite. You know, the less you see of a guy, the more, the more fond you kind of grow of him. But, here's where Saquon Barkley is at in terms of overall touches this year. He has 244 touches this year. On November 3rd, he was on pace for over 400 touches this year. So he was on pace after that Houston Texans game. Remember, I think he had like 35 attempts, 35 rushing attempts against the Texans. So he was on pace for over 400 touches this year earlier in the month. It's not at that pace right now, but his rookie year. 2019, he had 269 attempts. So give it, another 1 to 2 weeks here, he's going to break over the amount of total touches that he had his second year. And then his first year, he had 352. He had 352 total touches. So Saquon Barkley's usage this year is really, really high, and he's being used at a rate that he has not been used since 2018. So unfortunately, kind of the question that is coming in right now is the usage and is the kind of the fatigue on the season weighing on Saquon Barkley right now. And I don't know. I'm asking that kind of as a question because I really don't know at this point.
I don't know either. That voice was Justin Pennick, who's member of Talkin Giants, obviously great with the stats like that, with the usage. I'm with you on that. And Bobby, you would know from watching tape too. Like, is it noticeable? Like, is it absolutely And I guess to further that point, because you do the O-line report stuff for Talkin Giants as well, clearly this is like an offensive line that keeps getting in flux, keeps shuffling. Now Ben Bredesen's been out quite a few weeks. He was coming along. Noah Zudu right now, who is starting to become a really good run blocker for this team. So I know that O-line chemistry many will point to in some kind of like schematic situation. But like, is that part of it? Like, is it scheme? Is it just teams now totally loading up? Like, what is the tangible reason here that we've seen this from Barkley?
So last week, there was definitely some really bad offensive line plays that screwed Saquon, but he also screwed himself on a couple. In this game, it's just he doesn't look like he has the same, because we've seen Saquon be able to take and create big plays even when offensive line. So it'd be one thing if, he had 3 yards per carry, but he had like a 35-yarder in this game where he made something out of it. It's just there's nothing. And so everyone will point to that fourth down decision, and you'll blame DJ or Saquon or whatever. The play that worried me the most about Saquon long-term was the play before that on third down where he caught the ball. And you're thinking, like, okay, he's got some space. He needs to get 4 yards. He's going to get it, and he just didn't. And I was like, what? He doesn't look like he's that fast, or he didn't run through guys. So it's just we said it on the show that'll be out tomorrow. Like, if there's one big, negative takeaway you have long-term from this game, because the Cowboys don't outmatch, it's like, is Saquon kind of worn down a little bit from – he got 35 carries versus the Texans, and he was already on, leading the league in carries.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to hit you both with something here, and it's going to sound very radio hot takey. It's really not meant to be, because I want to make this clear. I love Brian Daboll. I love the coaching staff. I don't know how you can. But clearly we all fell in love very quickly, and I personally think now, a couple weeks in a row, we're starting to see – some cracks a little bit that maybe should have been expected for a rookie, inexperienced head coach, and to with that, even an offensive coordinator, Mike Kafka. Now, if you guys think I'm crazy, be with me. Let's have a conversation here. Last week, and this is not second-guessing, and I've listened to you guys, obviously, on Talkin Giants, so I know you guys have felt the same way as me. Putting Adoree Jackson in a position to return punts when you could have Darnay Holmes back there fair catching made no sense, and clearly Adoree Jackson now missing this game. You're talking about a decision that could affect the Giants in games by losing Adoree. Then you get into a situation in-game tonight. So right away I think that's a bad coaching move. Tonight, that 4th and 2 call, all right, I don't mind going for it. I get the aggression, and I get what Daboll said post-game about it. But here's what bothered me the most. Why did it take so long either to both make that decision and then get the play call in Then you only have 10 guys on the field as well. Then Jones feels like he's rushing. And look, Jones has to make a better throw there. Ultimately, I still think this is on Jones more than anybody. I agree with you. But although the way Saquon's been catching the ball, I don't even know that a perfect throw Saquon catches it. But it felt like coaching totally screwed him there. Screwed him last week with the Jackson decision. And, oh, by the way, how is it week 12? How many illegal formation calls, guys down the field? It's like the same penalties. Did they not work on this in practice as well? So am I nuts, or does it feel like coaching is at least starting to show its warts, or at least inexperience here from this staff by guys not named Wink Martindale right now?
Yeah,
obviously.
I got Bobby.
Obviously, every coach is going to have issues and not going to be perfect. And there's things I think Justin likes the fourth down decision. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but the thing where you can just be like, that's insane, was the Adoree Jackson thing. Because that's not hindsight being like, everybody knew going into that. Like, that is a reckless decision where the reward doesn't meet the risk even by a mile. You know, Adoree Jackson is essentially your most important player on defense. He has an injury history issue. And, yeah, was he a great punt returner at USC? Yeah, but he had fumbling issues with the Titans. So that was insane. Today, with Dable, the penalties and stuff, a lot of times I put that more on players, but like you said, you got to get, beat that stuff down in practice.
You got to adjust,
yeah.
The fourth down. The only big coaching thing that bothers me in this game was Mike Kafka at the end of we can second guess play call. They get the ball back with 9 minutes left, down 15, and they just start running the ball. So they get six plays. It takes them 3 minutes off the clock, so there's less than 6 minutes left, down 2 scores, and they're only at the 48-yard line at that point. So that was, again, there's always things you can second guess. That was my big, negative.
Bobby, it was a great time to establish the run there. Great time to establish.
The funny thing is they finally started, they started handing the ball to Gary Brightwell and Matt Breida, too.
Unreal. Justin, where do you stand with Dable and the staff now?
Yeah, Shaun, there's one thing that I really want to bring up, and I have finally, said this to myself today, said it on the show, and I think this is a pill that Giants fans have to swallow. Even though we know it and we haven't seen it yet, this is not going to be a team, and this is not going to be an offense this year in 2022 that is going to throw the ball well, and throwing the ball is going to be the sole reason why they win a game. I mean, it's just not. I mean, and whether it's because of the wide receivers, whether it's because of the offensive line, or whether the coaching, the offensive coaches, Brian Dable and Mike Kafka, whether they're scheming around any of those three things, I think offensive line and wide receivers may take the majority of kind of the blame as to maybe why we can't really see a conventional drop-back passing offense. But at the same time, we don't know how they feel about Daniel Jones. They didn't pick up his fifth-year option. So, while I think Daniel Jones has had a solid year, we are not going to see, we have not, and we are not going to see an offense that is going to let Daniel Jones be the sole reason or be the main reason why the Giants are going to win a game, especially if the running game is not there. Remember over the summer, I mean, I think you kind of have to be a really nitty-gritty Giants fan to really follow the ins and outs of the team over the summer. But Darius Slayton is this team's wide receiver one. The Giants were trying to trade Darius Slayton over the summer. They did not want Darius Slayton on the main 53, and we were guys that were advocating for him to be on the main 53 because Kadarius Toney has injury problems, Sterling Shepard has injury problems, Kenny Golladay had injury problems and is unreliable. So they have a guy who's wide receiver one on their roster right now who, over the summer, they didn't even really want him on the 53-man roster. So this half-happy coaching staff that came from the Bills and the Chiefs, they cannot throw the ball, and they don't trust to throw the ball. Why? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think you saw two instances with Slayton down the field where Jones obviously can make the plays down the field, but I agree with you. I mean, Slayton is a good player, but he's essentially like the equivalent of having McKenzie on the Bills, where you're shocked when he's getting the balls that Diggs and Davis aren't. So that's, where the Giants are at. They don't have a CeeDee Lamb. They don't have an A.J. Brown. It changes everything. Okay, now, let's talk real quickly because the injuries are obviously such a huge part of this and how the Giants have ended up now with these 2 straight losses. This bad mojo, and they've had them all year. Ojulari they need back. The Xavier McKinney ATV has led now to Adoree Jackson. Obviously Bellinger with the eye. Evan Neal. I mean, Bobby, you've watched all this tape, and Justin, you've crunched all this numbers. I guess we'll start with Bobby here. They're all important, and clearly all of these guys are guys the Giants are going to need back to get to the stretch and win 10 games and get there and get to the playoffs. Who is the most important player? We've already done Adoree Jackson, so let's say, except besides Adoree Jackson, that this Giant team needs back in a hurry to start winning games again.
Ooh, that's tough. So Adoree, like you said, is the clear one because he's the one guy who's like, he just takes away the guy from the other team.
Yeah, I mean, with Darnay Holmes is having to cover CeeDee Lamb all game today, I think we could all agree how important Adoree Jackson is today. But
yeah, so let's see. Offensive line, no. I think, is it crazy to say Daniel Bellinger because he's your only two-way tight end on the roster?
That was going to be my answer. Yes, it's not crazy to say that.
You got Cager and Hudson who can block, but they can receive, and then Myrick who's not going to be much of a receiving threat but can block. But even then, he wasn't as good as a blocker.
Well, and Bobby, who's to say now they can't come out and run interesting sets with both Cager and Bellinger on the field at the same time as pass catchers too? I mean, they were trusting Bellinger enough even in that Packer game that maybe have him throw a pass near the end zone, and he had picked up so much.
Yeah, and so, but without Bellinger, you can't run like one tight end sets where you're, a run and pass threat. And then when you can't, even if they did a lot of 2 tight end stuff. Well, guess what? Now, when you do 2 tight end stuff, you're guaranteed to have a bad blocker on the field. Where before you could use Bellinger and Myrick, and you could motion both those guys into fullback roles. You can't motion Lawrence Cager or Tanner Hudson into a fullback role. So I guess it's crazy enough. It's our 4th round rookie tight end in Daniel Bellinger.
Justin, where do you stand on it?
Yeah, I'll be quick, Sean. I mean, I think Xavier McKinney for me on the defensive side. You can make an argument for Azeez Ojulari, but the pass rush, especially.
Azeez is a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think overall you could maybe say Azeez, but for this game against the Cowboys today, having Xavier McKinney changes a lot of things. I mean, look at how Dalton Schultz was kind of able to eat in the second half after you had Gallup looking like prime Calvin Johnson in the first half.
And poor Pinnock is now posterized in Dallas with the stupid Ferguson hurdle. My goodness, it was the first kind of hurdle ever.
Unathletic Jake Ferguson. Like our knock on him in the draft is unathletic, just jumped over Jason Pinnock.
Of course, because that's just the Giants' luck. But having Xavier McKinney today would have been huge. I mean, on that passing touchdown, the first one that Dalton Schultz had, I mean, it was Nick McLeod one-on-one, and I think Wake Martindale was kind of playing off. He was kind of, putting a lot of guys back in coverage, but, it just kind of comes down to Jimmy's and jokes. And, Nick McLeod up against Dalton Schultz, what can you really expect Nick McLeod to do? But if Xavier McKinney's out there, maybe his main responsibility is covering Dalton Schultz. We've seen Xavier McKinney, whenever there's an offensive weapon that isn't a wide receiver, we've seen Xavier McKinney kind of being man-to-man matched up against them. So Xavier McKinney would have made a huge difference, especially in this game against Dallas, where there's only so much you have to worry about if you have a tight end, if you're covering Pollard out of the backfield. They could have really used them in certain matchup situations today.
Yeah, and by the way, Justin, I know this is perfect timing to have you on specifically because as I'm talking to you, a nice big Marcus Golden highlight in a Hard Knocks ad just popped up across my screen.
Oh, wow.
In front of me. What are the odds of that? That's your boy. All right, guys, listen, Talkin' Giants is available everywhere podcasts are downloadable. It's part of John Boy Media. It's great. Why don't you guys tell us exactly where you guys, can find you guys, Twitter, everything. Plus, you guys have something pretty big and fun planned Sunday before the Commanders game as well, don't we?
Yeah, Sunday before the Commanders game, 8 a.m. we'll be out there doing a tailgate, L16 on the curb. Free food, come on out. You better be out there, Sean.
I'm coming, guys. I'll be there. I'm going to see you guys finally.
Okay, so come out and see Sean. Talking without the G, Talking Giants on the podcast, YouTube, all that good stuff. We do film analysis. And then the show. And then you can follow me at Bobby Skinner _. I'll let Justin do himself, and you can also follow Smokin' Woody.
Yeah, follow Smokin' Woody. I'm at Justin Pennick. Sean, thank you so much for having us on. If you enjoy what we do, if you enjoy kind of what we had to say, we would love you. Would love you to check out the podcast, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. So, Sean, thank you again for having us on.
Boys, always a pleasure. Hopefully we talk after better times soon. Take care, guys. Happy Thanksgiving. All right. Bobby Skinner, Justin Pennick, the Talkin Giants guys. I love those guys. Look, obviously I do WFAN's Giants coverage, their podcast with Paul Dottino, One Giant Step. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, a lot of the reason I was motivated to really up the Giants coverage game here with my work on the fan was I became a big fan of these guys. I mean, they've worked their ass off, both Justin and Bobby, and it's just refreshing. You know, the fanalist kind of stuff. They've done an excellent job really building themselves from the ground up. And look, we need more guys like this, right? If you're a Giants fan like me, a Giants fan like them, you know, guys who really get in and you know, get the nitty-gritty and give us the info that, you know, maybe we're missing at first glance. And those guys do an excellent, excellent job. Although Bobby had, I guess, a joke of a Thanksgiving dinner, the most mediocre spaghetti and corn on the cob you'd ever see. But Texas toast is solid as well. Saw that on Twitter. All right, Suss is with me on the other side. We still have plenty more to get into. Jet fans, will include you as well